On a quiet night, I came to the recruitment interview for the literary club speeches. The first speaker on stage turned out to be Grace. She impressed everyone with her concise logic and fluent rhetoric. She kept prompting the audience to applaud for her. As the interview approached its end, many students were tired and yawning. At this moment, the host said, "Please welcome the last contestant, Calvin, to give a speech. The topic Calvin has drawn is how to get along with friends whose conditions differ." When this was announced, a girl in the audience wondered, "Calvin, do you know who it is? He sounds familiar." "He is the person who watched the campus festival with Grace last time. He usually can't say a word properly. I doubt he can deliver a decent speech." I walked slowly onto the stage. I thought to myself, it's strange how I ended up with this topic. After greeting the audience, I started my speech. After blah blah and a bunch, I continued talking. When interacting with classmates whose economic status far exceeds our own, if we only focus on the present, it will definitely lead to various feelings of inferiority and jealousy. But if we shift our focus to our entire life, perhaps things will not seem so unbearable. By then, big houses and luxury cars may not be such distant dreams for us. So, we don't need to be concerned about the temporary material gap between us and our friends, because time will eventually make up for it. Despite being poor, we should hold on to our ambitious aspirations. As these words were spoken, the classmates in the audience were all shocked. Then everyone applauded. When the applause died down a bit, I continued, "Therefore, when interacting with classmates who are economically less privileged than us, we should respect them and not objectify others when it comes to the exchange of friendship." Quinn in the audience frowned upon hearing this. She felt extremely uncomfortable, as if she had just swallowed a knife. He was clearly talking about her. "After the speech is over, I will send Grace away." I left alone. Just then, someone tapped me on the shoulder. When I turned around, it turned out to be Quinn. "Calvin's speech was pretty good just now. But who are you referring to with some of the things you said?" I was looking at Quinn, who exudes mature charm. My gaze was unconsciously captivated by her, and by the time I realized it, one hand was pressed against the wall. I was trapped in the middle of the wall by Quinn. She was still talking. "We've only been apart for one day, and you're already hooking up with Grace." I watched the domineering Quinn unconsciously take a few steps back and said, "We're just normal classmates. What's it to you?" "Why did you say that we are just normal classmates? Also, why did you subtly mock me during your speech just now? You did such things and said those words, but refused to apologize. Is there any possibility for us to be more than just ordinary classmates? Do you have anything else to say? If not, I'll leave. After saying this, I just want to leave." But she grabbed the corner of my clothes and said softly with her head down, "Wait a moment. There are indeed areas I can change about that matter. I can apologize to you, and next time, I won't do that to you. You are quite special among my friends, so I hope you can continue to be my friend, okay?" This innocent-looking girl is so strong that she pinned me against the wall like this. Then she seemed to feel wronged. She begged me to forgive her for the mistakes she had made before. I saw the situation and couldn't help but admit that the eager gaze of the beautiful girl was really powerful. So I said, "If you can really do as you just said, then of course it's possible. But you still need to apologize to me." "How should I apologize?" she asked. After thinking for a moment, I jokingly said, "Give me a kiss as an apology." "Get lost," she heard and immediately turned to leave. Later, I said earnestly, "In celebration of us getting back together, I invite you for a drink. Let's also heal your wounded soul in the process." So, after we arrived at the coffee shop, I spoke up and asked, "Would you like to order a cake or something?" "I am on a diet, you go ahead and order. You can have it all by yourself. You are quite slim. Why do you want to lose weight?" Losing weight is an attitude for girls. No matter the weight, it should always be mentioned. Do you understand? When she said that, a question suddenly popped up in my mind. How much do you weigh? I guess it's over 100 pounds. Quinn immediately retorted, I'm not over 100 pounds. You are over 1.7 meters tall and still weigh less than 100 pounds. It really proves the saying, not over 100 pounds, not across. At this point, I hesitated for a moment and didn't speak. Quinn glanced at me and asked, Not what? I saw and awkwardly said, It's nothing, it's nothing. She changed the topic to relieve my awkwardness. Oh, by the way, this year's National Day holiday coincides with the Mid-Autumn Festival, giving us a 9-day holiday. I'm planning to go to the islands in the Pacific Ocean for some fun. Do you want to come along and have some adventures with me outside? I heard it and was a little stunned, thinking that I had splurged too much before. Now I have less than 6,000 out of the 18,000. So with a black face I said, I still need to save some money for the next compensation. Quinn was startled when he heard it. What compensation? I was originally thinking of saying that you have no money, and I can treat you to go out. But now I've changed my mind. Having such a sharp-tongued person like you around will only lead to trouble. She finished speaking, and then turned her head to look in the other direction. When she saw that I didn't react, Immediately, she turned her head again and glanced at me. Then she said, I heard that the public security over there is not very good. It's not very convenient for me to go alone as a girl. It seems like you don't really want to go either, so I'll just have to invite another boy to go with me. Upon hearing this, I grimaced and said, Then thank that unknown boy for me. He endured a trip for me. After that, we finished our coffee. That's how we waved goodbye to each other on the street. I watched her walking away, murmuring to myself, It's strange. Why do I care so much when she said she's going with another man? Quinn thought to himself as he left. Besides him, who else is suitable to go with me? Although he usually acts irresponsibly, he proved to be reliable when I was sick last time. Can you believe that this seemingly ordinary girl is actually a wealthy woman hiding her wealth? She wants me to accompany her to the islands in the Pacific during the Golden Week. I refused her because I was short of money. At night, I received a message from Grace. She asked if I had time during the holidays to accompany her for a stroll in the city. After I replied, No problem, I suddenly received a message from Quinn. She said she is taking the flight tomorrow morning and asked me to take her to the airport because she has quite a lot of luggage. Upon seeing this, I immediately typed, Didn't you arrange to meet another guy? Isn't he supposed to help you with the luggage? 10 minutes later, I looked at my chat with Quinn, but she still hadn't replied to my message. The next day, when I woke up and checked Moments, I found that Quinn posted a moment of her playing on the beach. In the photo, there was a picture of her and a boy. Judging from the situation, I analyzed that this boy is probably taller than me, handsome, and in good shape. I just don't know what relationship he has with Quinn. The more I look, the more upset I feel. At that moment, my phone received a message. When I opened it, it turned out to be a message from Quinn. He is my childhood sweetheart. Handsome, right? Tonight, there isn't enough room where I am, so he wants to share a room with me. I feel so nervous. Seeing this, I was stunned. This darn well looks like a challenge. How can I tolerate this? So I immediately sent a message to ask Grace if she is free tomorrow to go with me to the small island around the Pacific. After sending the message, I felt a bit regretful about my impulse just now. As I was thinking about retracting the message I said to Grace, she said the plane tickets and everything had already been arranged. Seeing this, I sighed and said, Being wealthy is really amazing. The next day, after a short plane ride, we arrived at our destination. At that moment, I fell into contemplation how should Grace and I appear in front of Quinn and her travel companion. As I was browsing Moments, I noticed Quinn had posted a moment with an address. Feeling a slight sense of triumph, I thought to myself, What a fortunate coincidence. So I said to Grace, How about we go for a walk around the area? Grace seemed delighted at the idea of going out to play. Under the clear sky, sunlight shining on the deep blue sea, turtles and fish freely swimming in the sea. I looked around the beach and the crowd, trying hard to find Quinn. Just as I turned my head, I suddenly caught sight of that familiar figure. Immediately, I grabbed Grace's hand and headed towards that figure. Grace, being pulled by the hand, was momentarily stunned, then allowed me to lead her by the hand. When I walked behind Quinn, I greeted, "Quinn, you're also here." Upon hearing my voice, Quinn happily turned around, calling out my name. She saw me and Grace hand in hand standing in front of her. Seeing us, she immediately lowered her hat. Even under the intense sun, her gloomy face couldn't be hidden. The girl invited me to play on the island, but I turned down her invitation. I didn't expect that as soon as she arrived there, she immediately sent me a picture of her with a guy to provoke me, and even said they would be sleeping together tonight. How can I bear this? So the next day, I showed up in front of her holding hands with Grace. Her face turned even darker than charcoal when she saw us. At this moment, Grace joyfully said, "Hey, Quinn, it's you. It's so nice to run into you here. Let's take a photo together and capture this moment." Seeing Quinn looking uncomfortable, I cheerfully added, "Yeah, what a surprise to meet you here. Where's your handsome travel companion? I don't see him." Quinn forced a smile at the words. "No need, you guys have fun. My travel companion just called me over. I'll be heading off now." After saying that, she even gave me a glare. Then she turned around and left. I was overjoyed in my heart at the sight, as justice was finally served. After she left, I thought it was time to let go of Grace's hand. I had just released her hand when she immediately grabbed mine and said, "Calvin." After speaking, she looked at me affectionately. I panicked and thought to myself that this wasn't good. Could she have really fallen in love with me? Wasn't I just acting earlier? Just as I was at a loss, she let go of my hand and then awkwardly said, "I just stepped on something, which startled me and made me grab your hand." We wandered around nearby for a while like that. I could tell she was preoccupied, probably because of the hand-holding incident earlier. Seeing her unhappy, I said, "How about we have a barbecue on the beach tonight at 7, Grace?" Upon hearing this, Grace was delighted and asked, "Really?" After I said that, she reached out her hand towards me. I was completely stunned for a moment. Oh, it was obvious that she wanted to hold hands with me. If I refuse her, will she be upset again? What should I do if I don't reject her? Just as I was feeling torn, she also sensed my embarrassment. So she withdrew her hand to change the subject and said, "What is Calvin daydreaming about? Come with me to see the sea turtles." Upon hearing her words, I sighed with relief. That's how we finished our walk. By then, it was already dusk. After returning, I suddenly received Quinn's location sent to me, suggesting that Calvin should come to this place soon. Time waits for no one. Is she coming to make amends? If so, that's quite interesting. After all, it's extremely rare for her to do so. But later I'm going to have a barbecue with Grace. This is really difficult to handle. After thinking for a while, I stood up and embarrassingly said to Grace, "I'll be late for the barbecue tonight. You go there first and have some fun. I will definitely be there." Grace hesitated for a moment, but agreed to Calvin's request. Where on earth does this guy want to go? In the evening, Grace saw that I still hadn't arrived at the barbecue and felt a bit melancholy. It's so late. Why hasn't he come yet? Could it be that he doesn't want to come at all? Forget it. I'll go for a walk nearby. After meeting with Quinn, she explained that the travel companion, from moments, was someone she found temporarily, and she purposely sent me the message to provoke me. In the end, she apologized to me. I calmly said, "We are just ordinary friends. There is no need to compare our interactions with others." She nodded in understanding after hearing what I said. Then she asked me if I wanted to go barbecue by the seaside now. I turned black after listening. I'm in trouble. I was chatting with Quinn just now, and forgot that Grace hoped she wouldn't silly wait for me. "You go, I'm not hungry." After speaking, I found a figure walking towards us, and looking at the figure, I actually found it a bit familiar. After seeing Grace walking towards me, then suddenly turning around and walking away quickly, I realized that person was Grace. So I quickly hurried to catch up and shouted, "Grace, wait!" When Girl and I were traveling on the island. Unexpectedly, we encountered a huge tsunami. Just now, this girl, after being stood up by me, walked on the beach in depression. She accidentally saw me standing her up, going to accompany another girl. She turned and ran away, tears welling up in her eyes. I immediately caught up with her when I saw the situation. Then I grabbed her with one hand. Who knew that she forcefully threw my hand off and angrily shouted, "Don't interfere with me!" I slowly followed behind her and then apologetically said, "Sorry, Grace, I stood you up this time. Can we make plans again for next time? You don't like me at all, do you? That's why you treat our plans so lightly." Upon hearing this, I was stunned for a few seconds. I didn't expect Grace, who is usually so gentle and easygoing, to ask such a question on the spot. She saw that I didn't reply for a long time, so she asked again, "Since you don't like me, why did you hold my hand? You should be able to see that I have feelings for you. Why make me think so much?" Upon hearing this, I lowered my head and remained silent. I wish I hadn't done that thing to anger Quinn. I helplessly apologized, saying, "I'm sorry, Grace. I'm sorry. On the way back, we fell silent. When we got back, I started packing my bags, preparing to leave here. After all, I did that thing. I can't live under the same roof with her anymore. I went to several nearby hotels. They all don't have any extra rooms. I walk alone on the quiet streets in helplessness. What is Grace doing now? She wouldn't still be crying, would she? What about Quinn? If she saw me like this now, she would definitely burst into laughter. Just when I started to doubt life, a voice shouted loudly from the balcony, "Hey, our dear Calvin, how did you end up on the streets? Or is it the beaches?" At the mention, I looked over in that direction. It turned out to be Quinn. It's like they appeared out of thin air. Her words cut me like a knife, and the pain is unbearable. I grit my teeth and have a lot to say, but I still can't speak out. Quinn continued to talk when he saw I didn't speak. Although I'm not sure of the reason, I guess you had a fight with Grace and got kicked out. If you have nowhere to go, I can't sleep either. I feel stifled being alone. Come up and talk to me if you want. I thought since I have nowhere else to go, I might as well go up and sit for a while. And the waves are quite big at night. There might be some danger walking near the beach. When I just sat down in her room, Quinn sneered and said, "You're so pitiful, taking the initiative to hold someone else's hand and ending up being kicked out." Upon hearing this, I was about to explain, but then I heard a loud noise outside. So I curiously looked outside. I found that the sea was quite magnificent. However, Quinn, upon seeing it, exclaimed in shock, "This is actually a tsunami." After saying this, she immediately turned around to start packing her bags, saying, "We learned in geography class that this is a precursor to a tsunami. Hurry, grab your things and let's go together." This girl is having a pleasant vacation on a small island. Unexpectedly, she encountered a huge tsunami. Upon seeing the situation, I immediately took out my phone and dialed Grace's number, but it was switched off on the other end. Quinn and I were just about to leave after finishing packing up. A huge wave was rushing towards us. Seeing the situation, I shouted, "Run!" At the same time, a strong wind rose above the island, and other cities had also been inundated by the waves. I watched as the giant wave came closer and closer to us. The next second, we were submerged. Although I can swim, I was still choked by the sudden giant wave. Quinn stopped moving after struggling for a while underwater. I swam over to her, grabbed her hand, and then swam hard to the surface. In no time, I reached the water surface. I dragged her body to a nearby shallow area. After I put her down, I looked at her cherry-like lips. My face involuntarily turned red. Oh no, am I going to have to perform artificial respiration? That was my first kiss. What should I do? Just as I was about to have no choice but to kiss her. Suddenly a light bulb went off in my mind. I should first check if she's breathing. I reached out and found that she was still breathing, so I breathed a sigh of relief. It looks like I managed to save my first kiss. At this moment, I patted Quinn's face a few times. After a bout of coughing, she woke up. I felt relieved when I saw her wake up. I then got up and looked around. I think this is still the same place we were just in. We weren't washed away to somewhere else. Thinking about this, I started to worry about Grace and how she's doing now. Suddenly, I had the impulse to go save her. I turned and asked Quinn if she knew how to swim. Quinn, upon hearing this, excitedly said she could swim in various positions. I know you want to go, let's go together with Grace. Upon hearing this, I am very moved. That's how we headed towards Grace's original place for a visit. I don't know how long we had been traveling when we saw a person floating on the water. When we got closer to her, we realized it was Grace. I immediately sped up. Grace saw two people swimming towards her, me and Quinn, which filled her heart with joy. Little did she know that not far behind her, a dark figure was swimming towards her. When I noticed the dark figure getting closer and closer to Grace, I was shocked. Could it be a shark? This boy is remarkable. He actually brought two girls and flipped a big shark just now. I saw a shark behind Grace, which shocked me. How could there be a shark here? Could it be that Grace is injured and bleeding, attracting the shark? After all, sharks are very sensitive to blood. After taking out a dagger from my backpack, I shouted for Grace to quickly swim behind me. There was a shark behind her. When she gets here, I will let them go first, and I will deal with the shark. They hesitated for a while, but were persuaded by me and left. After all, among the three of us, one must become the shark's meal. I might as well take a chance so that they can all escape, and who knows, maybe I can even win. Watching the shark getting closer and closer, my heart is pounding and my hands are trembling. At this moment, I swam underwater hoping to buy them time to escape. Meanwhile, I wanted to find an opportunity to take down the shark. After swimming for a while, I realized that my speed was clearly no match for the shark's. Just as its huge mouth was about to swallow me, I almost made a judgment call based on intuition and thrust out with all my might. But I still missed it because the seawater was too murky for me to accurately judge its distance. I felt anxious after the failure. Just as its huge blood-filled mouth was within arm's reach of me, I swam hard to one side. The next second, it rushed past me. It didn't bite me. Seeing it missing, I was overjoyed. Now was the perfect opportunity, so I thrust the knife towards it with force. The shark that was stabbed was in unbearable pain, staggering and swimming with an unbalanced body. But I know that this kind of injury is not enough to deliver a fatal blow to it. Perhaps it could attack again at any moment, and I no longer have any weapons to fight against it. Shortly after, the shark indeed turned its head and swam towards me. Seeing the situation, I hurriedly fled. Fortunately, it was injured, so its speed was no longer as fast as before. However, it still pursued me relentlessly. Perhaps I had provoked it, making it furious. I swam with all my strength for an unknown amount of time until I finally couldn't go on. I had already expended a lot of energy while looking for Grace earlier. Just when I couldn't swim anymore and was about to be caught up by the shark, two hands suddenly pulled me up. I saw that it was Quinn and the others behind. I was very moved. It seems that they haven't forgotten me. And so I was led by them wandering around, not knowing how long we had been walking. Quinn spoke up, saying, "The place for water diving is just a dozen meters ahead. Hang in there, reaching it is victory." Soon after, I heard the sound of a shark emerging from the water, and we had reached the shore as well. At that moment, the shark was swimming madly, but it remained completely still in its original position. Quinn was surprised to see this and exclaimed, "The shark is stranded." Upon hearing this, I also looked towards the shark, not expecting that it would sacrifice its life just to chase after us. We were overjoyed after being rescued. After thanking each other, the three of us, Quinn thought about booking a flight back, but unfortunately the airport here has been destroyed. After a moment of tearful eye contact, we were left speechless. Quinn suggested that we go to the largest mall in the center of the island to take a look. After all, in the current situation, we need supplies to survive. In no time, we arrived at the mall. Upon entering, I noticed that people inside were constantly fighting over supplies. Seeing this, I pondered. The store in front of me had become a center of chaos. I guessed that other places were probably the same. How can I get supplies to ensure survival? We found a rest area in the parking lot. I boldly opened Quinn's backpack. I found a medical bandage inside. Seeing this, I was overjoyed. Quinn, you have made a great contribution. When I was traveling on the island, I unexpectedly got trapped inside by a tsunami. Just when I was worrying about how to survive without supplies, I discovered that Quinn actually had a medical bandage. Upon seeing this, I exclaimed with joy, "Quinn, you really are a great help." While Quinn wore a puzzled expression, she asked me why I needed these medical bandages. "The situation is urgent. I'll tell you more when I come back." After saying that, I left with the bandages. I had just gone out for a while when I saw a foreigner holding a lot of supplies in his hands, but bleeding from the head. I walked up to him and asked in broken English, "Do you need help?" The foreigner stood still upon hearing my words and stared at me as if I was disabled. Seeing this, I thought to myself, could it be that he didn't understand my English? Just then, a tall foreigner suddenly appeared and demanded that I give him the medical bandage. Seeing the situation, I turned and walked away. It seems this person is addicted to robbing things. The man then chased after me persistently. When I saw that he was about to catch up to me, I turned around and gave him a hard kick in the stomach. I then followed up with an uppercut punch. The man cursed after being hit. Then he angrily grabbed my arm and forcefully pulled me away from him. I felt his strong strength and tried to break free from his grip, but I was still tightly held. Then I exerted all my strength to break free from him, and I landed a heavy horizontal punch on his face. After hitting him, I ran away. The man was hit by my punch and went into a state of shock. He was frozen on the spot. I was thinking while escaping, it was indeed a thrilling experience just now. That guy must have been restricted by the items in his backpack, otherwise, I might not have been able to defeat him. After walking for a while, I found another potential client. I exchanged supplies with him. I went back carrying a backpack full of supplies. At this moment, my heart blossomed with joy. What a bountiful harvest this is. Quinn and the others were shocked to see me coming back with a bunch of supplies, their mouths wide enough to fit a duck egg. She was like my little fangirl, asking in admiration, "Wow, Calvin, you are amazing. How did you manage to do this?" After I briefly told her about the exchanging items with others, we started eating. After finishing the food and chatting for a while, I noticed that they looked tired, so I suggested taking a break. Grace then said, "You guys go sleep. I'll stay awake and watch over." "How can this be acceptable? You've been tired all night too." Watching them argue endlessly, I said seriously, "Let me do it." As soon as I said that, they both said in unison, "No, it's not allowed." After some discussion, Quinn and I decided to sleep for 2 hours first, then we will take turns to keep watch for the rest of the night. When I woke up, I found that I had slept for 12 hours. Seeing the exhaustion on Grace's face, I felt deeply ashamed. When Grace fell asleep on Quinn's thigh, I quietly said, "Quinn, this time we are considered to have a life and death friendship, right?" Quinn crossed his arms and said proudly, Who said we have a life and death friendship? We chatted on and off for a while like this. Suddenly, a rumbling sound of an earthquake came. This shocked us. Woken up by Grace's suggestion, let's go see what's going on. It could be a rescue operation. So we grabbed our things and headed out. This boatman is shameless enough to profit from a national disaster. Originally, the boat fare was only $50 per person. He took advantage of the tsunami to raise the price significantly, asking for $5,000 per person. Just now, while we were resting in the underground parking lot, we heard some noise outside. When we came out, we saw that the crowds were all going in the same direction. After inquiring, we found out that there was a rescue boat on the beach to the east of the island. We don't know any more details. We followed the crowd to the beach, and indeed there was a rescue boat, but it was too small. It could only accommodate 3 or 4 people at most. Quinn inquired and said that this boat belongs to boatmen from the neighboring island. It said that the city here was destroyed by a tsunami, so they came to pick up people and bring them to their island. I heard you exclaiming that the local people there are really simple and honest. Who knew? Quinn said. This is going to cost money. Converted, it's about $1,000 per person. Hearing this, I was shocked. I could buy 10 boats like his for $1,000. Talking about this is useless. So are we going to take a seat or not? If we wait for the airport here to be repaired, who knows how long we'll have to wait? After she finished speaking, I felt embarrassed and said, let's just take the boat. We finally found a boatman and asked him how much the boat ride would cost. He said it would be $4,000 per person. Upon hearing this, I immediately became angry and said, you're clearly taking advantage of the situation by hiking up the prices. The boatman saw that I thought the price was too high, didn't say a word, and just left. This made me so angry that I stomped my feet. So, I shouted loudly that I would only pay him $5,000 before he came back. He came back and looked at me with a smile, which made me even more convinced of my inner thoughts. After we boarded the ship, Quinn complained about my earlier actions, which raised the original price of $400 to $500. Upon hearing this, I whispered a few words of my inner thoughts to them. Grace blushed and said, is this possible? I confidently said, patting my chest, this will definitely work. I don't know how long it took, but we finally neared the island. At this moment, I took out money, grinned, and said, this is your money. After speaking, I scattered a few hundred bills onto the water. The boatman, frowning at the scene, yelled loudly, "No!" I directly went over and lifted him up in my arms. Then with a splash, he went underwater. At this moment, I panicked and shouted, "What are you waiting for? Run quickly!" And so we quickly escaped. The boatman in the water saw us fleeing and angrily shouted, "Come back!" Faced with the money on the water and chasing us, he chose to pick up the money on the water. After we stopped a taxi on the road, we headed to the airport. We were extremely happy to have bought the plane tickets. Finally, we could leave this cursed place. Just as we were preparing to go through security checks, the boatman brought over a dozen other boatmen to chase after us and asked me to pay the remaining money. But they were stopped by a security guard. At this point, I gave them the middle finger. They saw it and got so angry that they wanted to come over and teach me a lesson. But they were stopped by other security guards. Quinn saw the chaos I caused and criticized me severely. And I pointed out that the boatman was being unfair, and besides, they couldn't even get over to our side. We started boarding after waiting for a while. When the plane was about to take off, Quinn leaned over and happily said, "Calvin, you must be having the time of your life on this trip. You saved Grace's life, killed a huge shark, and taught a lesson to the boatman who tried to take advantage of the situation. Any one of these things should be enough for you to brag about for years." Upon hearing this, I jokingly replied, "I can't compete with you. Having a handsome tour guide and sharing the same room? I definitely concede defeat in this aspect." Quinn blushed upon hearing this, then hurriedly explained. No way. That person was just a passerby I asked to take a photo. As for sharing a room, that definitely didn't happen. When I was traveling on the island, unexpected, I encountered a large tsunami. After going through numerous hardships, I finally managed to board a plane and fly back. And at this moment, I was so exhausted that I fell asleep as soon as I laid down. The next day at noon, before I even woke up, the phone rang. When I got up and checked, I found it was Quinn calling, suggesting to meet this afternoon at the Global Window Amusement Park. Shall we go together, along with you and Grace? I just woke up from being woken up by the phone. I haven't fully recovered yet. Quinn saw me quiet for a while, and then continued. What's wrong? We went through so much together before. We should hang out together more often after coming back, right? I only managed to recover a bit after she finished speaking. Okay, let's meet at the school gate later. Okay, I will let Grace know right away. I got up and quickly tidied up before heading out. When I came out, I saw that Grace was already there. I walked over, and Grace was shocked to see me. She said, Calvin, isn't your hairstyle a bit messy? Do you want to tidy it up? Embarrassed by her words, I stood there awkwardly. I was in a rush to leave just now and forgot to style my hair. I took out my phone and opened the camera app, only to find that my hair was indeed a mess. After tidying up my hair for a while, I chatted with Grace while waiting for Quinn. None of us mentioned the hand-holding incident as we talked like true friends, discussing various topics. After some time, Quinn finally arrived. We went to the amusement park and played a lot of attractions. One of them was a 5D movie. After watching the movie, Grace had something to do, so she left early. And Quinn and I went to a sushi restaurant for dinner. As we were finishing dinner, Quinn joked, It's so boring. We can't spend the whole evening like this. I thought for a moment and then said, So are we going on a date? Quinn's mouth lifted into a smile at the words and said, Sure. I heard there's a cherry blossom tree nearby. Let's go there. In no time, we arrived at the cherry blossom tree. We walked on the empty and beautiful street in silence. And at that moment, the sky suddenly rang out with a loud noise. Then, one by one, fireworks bloomed in the sky, making the originally dull sky become colorful and magnificent. Not long after, a love firework stayed in the sky. Quinn looked shy, as if the firework was made especially for her. I glanced back at her. And then I said, You seem so happy. Next time, I'll customize one for you too. Quinn happily grinned at the words. Sure, but you might not dare. What's there to be afraid of? Don't worry, no matter what happens in the future, you have me. I will fulfill your wish. I'm a bit anxious as I say this. Please don't say strange things. This is too embarrassing. Quinn is getting shy because of my words. At this point, I touched my hair. I don't know why I said those words. I only know that Quinn has already occupied a place in my heart. I hope these happy and fulfilling days will not end.